Hey everyone, it's Kino here. Thanks for joining me on this sunset yoga session. We'll initiate the sacred space of the practice with the sound Om. So bring your hands together, tune in to the inner body, close your eyes for a moment, and inhale. The journey of yoga is really about turning your mind inward and making peace with yourself, making peace with your mind, making peace with your body. We spend so much of our lives criticizing our body and asking ourselves to be a different size or shape, or getting feedback from the world that we're not the right size or the right shape. And you know what? That's all a bunch of you know what. And we're going to throw that out the window today and learn to just be real comfortable in our own skin. The perfect body for the practice, I always say, is the one you have. So let's get started on the hands and knees. Today's topic is going to be a journey deep down into the hip joints, into the hips. Special request from one of my awesome followers on Periscope. So hi Brianna, you know who you are. Thanks for requesting. We're going to get down into the hips, just special for you. Let's start off on your hands and knees. And by the way, YouTube followers, if you don't follow me on Periscope, you totally should. I'm KinoYoga there too. Like this video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Start off on the hands and knees. Tune into your hip joints, tune into your shoulders, and we'll just warm up nice and easy on the hands and knees plank. Gripping your fingertips, widening through the shoulders, and sucking in the belly. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3. Tune into the body, bringing a sense of awareness through the joints, through the muscles. 4 and 5. Curl your toes under and let's press back to downward facing dog. 5 breaths in down dog just to tune in. 1. Keep the belly sucked in, widen through the shoulder girdle. 2. Keep your mind dropping deeper down into the inner body. 3. Spread your shoulders away from each other. 4. Pivot down into the hip joints, sending the pubic bone back and up. And 5. Bend your knees, placing the knees down, walking your hands forward, coming up onto the fingertips, and just settle down. And we'll take it down into the puppy pose. 1, 2, and if you feel comfortable, you can lift your head, walk your hands forward, and flatten your chest down. 3, 4, and let's walk it all the way back to downward facing, curling the toes under. And again, a couple breaths here. 1, 2, 3. Tune into the space behind your pubic bone. Tune into the hips. The hips are such a place that so many emotions are stored, so many feelings of body inadequacy. So today, let's just drop down into the hips and make peace with the hips. Make peace with the empty space of the pelvis. 4 and 5. Switch your gaze forward. Step your right foot forward, planting the left heel down, coming up onto your fingertips. Send your right knee forward over the ankle. Draw the belly in. Open your torso and come up onto your right forearm. Taking it nice and easy to start. For Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. Gaze up into the left fingers. 1. Gently, we're working on that external hip rotation so you can feel yourself dropping down into the empty space of the pelvis. 3. Calm, steady breathing, dropping the belly in. 4, and you can choose to stay right here. If you have a little more space that you can feel in your hips, drop your right hand down, fingertips on the ground, flattening the palm. 1, nice and steady, draw the belly deeper and deeper in. 2, drop your mind to that space behind the right hip joint in the emptiness of the pelvis. 3, 4, and 5. Drop your shoulder down and inhale. Come up to the warrior 2. Another 5 breaths. 1. Gaze at the right fingers using this activated connection into the inner body through the standing poses to warm up the hip joints. 4 and 5. Let's drop the arms. Thrust through the right leg to straighten. Pivot around to the left side. Equalize the sitting bones. Send that left knee over the ankle, hooking the left forearm, and then extending the right arm. 1, 2. Keep your belly drawn nice and deep in. Start to bring your attention into the empty space behind the left hip. 3. Keep rooting down into the base of your right big toe, the base of the right little toe, and the heel. Doing good. Okay. If you choose to stay here, totally good. But if you want to, dangle that hand out to the side, fold the torso towards the thigh, placing your fingertips on the ground, and then melt the palm down. 1, when you're ready. 2, Drop the belly inside. 3, 4, and 5. Drop the shoulder down. Inhale. Warrior 2, left side. Focus on equalizing the sitting bones. 1, 2. Draw the belly deeper and deeper in. 3. Interacting with the ground. You feel that burn in your thigh muscle. All good. 4. Almost there. 5. Straighten up. Come on forward. Drop your hands down. Keep your hands right on the waist. Inhale as the belly sucks in. Exhale. Hands down to the ground for the wide leg forward bend. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. Exhale, fold forward, top of the head reaching to the ground. Gazing at the nose tip. 1, 2, 3. Tune into the inner body. Take a moment making peace with however deeply or not deeply you are in this pose. 4 and 5. Inhale, lift your chest, look up, and exhale. Draw inside the low belly and inhale. Come on all the way back up and exhale. Slowly point your pelvis forward and come on all the way up to standing. Pausing for a moment. Inhale, raise your hands above the head. Look up at the thumbs. Exhale, pivot from your hips. Go on all the way down. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. And exhale, let's step back to plank. Plank for a moment. Hold plank for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move your shoulders a little forward. Hold it. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Pause again in downward facing for a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One more time, we're going to take it plank to make sure the body's nice and warm. Shoulders come forward, hold it. 1, draw the belly in. 2, 3, 4, and let's make sure the shoulders are nice and warm. Down, take it up, down, take it up, down, take it up. 2 more, down, take it up. 1 more, down, take it up, and then walk your plank. Walking the plank. You can do this on your hands and knees if it's too much for your wrists, but we're just trying to warm up the body so we can get deeper down into the inner space of the pelvis. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Pause again. Step the feet hips width apart. Hold it here and let's twist out the dog. Bend your right knee into the chest and twist it out. 1. Keep the belly drawn in. 2, 3. Take a moment making deep peace with the body. 4. And back to the center. Left knee drops forward. Spiral it over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the center. So gliding your knee forward and pause for a moment. We're going to begin our journey into pigeon. So you have to ask yourself what kind of pigeon you might be. We're going to try a whole bunch of different pigeons. Are you a New York kind of pigeon that likes to get down and dirty? Or are you a Florida pigeon and you're hot and sweaty? You need to figure it out, because whatever kind of pigeon you are, whether you're all tight and bunched up or whether you're all loose like a Florida pigeon, you're good. All is good. So here we are, and this first pigeon is the tighter pigeon, where your hip is going to be a little tight. You might not be able to get your hips all the way down to the ground, so you may be holding yourself up here. Totally good. So you'll stay right there and hold it for about 5 breaths as we move down. If you can settle your hips down, you may find that your pigeon can be flatter into the ground, so you'll guide your right foot forward, keeping the knee joint open. If you have any knee injuries, please keep the knee joint closed, because this is a slightly more precarious place, but you will get deeper into the hip. Now you notice that when I open the knee, the left hip starts to pop up. So you want to guide the left hip down as you square the pelvis forward. Your shin bone is parallel to the front of your mat, and we'll hold it here for 5 breaths. 1. In the journey to open the hips, to get down deep into the inner body, we have to drop the fight. So pause and calm your mind and just say to yourself, what is simply is. All is good. Make peace with your body. Operate from a perspective of patience and tolerance, from an attitude that recognizes that all is good. You'll never force or fight your body into opening. Instead, simply make peace with where you are. If possible, come down onto the elbows. If possible, rest all the way down. And again, we'll hold it here for 5 breaths. Tune into the muscles of the hip, tune into the muscles of your thigh, and then drop down into the bones. Underneath the physicality, the hard substance of the body, is the inner body. Tune in for a moment. Find your connection into the subtle body. Find your connection into the space underneath the muscles, the hard matter of the body, into the energetics and the emotions, into the feeling, the subtle body that can only be entered through a calm and still mind. And then slowly allow your eyes to open and slowly straighten up, coming onto your fingertips again. Then curl your back toes under, bending your right knee. Hands move to flat. Come forward, coming onto the hands and knees plank for a moment. Inhale all the way up to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. We'll go through that same on the left side, either sliding forward, remaining here, up onto the fingertips, holding yourself up, or if you can settle the hips down, then rest your knee, gliding that foot open, and just pause for a moment. And when you come into that pigeon, keep your right hip oriented forward, even if you have to be a little bit elevated off the ground to settle down into the hip. Nice and steady, keeping the belly in. Focus your attention into that empty space around the thigh bone, into the empty space of the pelvis, and then slowly speaking the language of patience and tolerance. So find out how your pigeon is doing today. If you had a pet bird, you would be nice to it. You wouldn't beat it down and tell it to fly around when you wanted it to fly around. You would be nice to your pet bird. So think about your pigeon, your hip, a little bit like you just got yourself a pet bird and you have to make friends with it. So we want to make friends with the pet bird, and we're just saying, hey, little pigeon, you're all right. You're my pigeon, you're my friend. And then just tune in, making deep peace with that inner space. And we'll stay here for just a few more breaths. Calmly tuning into the inner body. One more breath. And then let's come on back up. Straightening out the arms, taking the hands down for a moment onto the fingertips until you guide that foot back. Then flatten the palm, come up. Curl your toes under, come back to the hands and knees plank. From the hands and knees plank, we're going to take it up and forward, all the way to plank. Exhale down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Looking forward, step the right foot, the left foot. Settling your hips, straighten the legs all the way through. Now we're going to go for the seated pigeon. So this is a pigeon that's just kind of hanging out, all right? We'll start off with the right side. Bend your right knee, drop it to the side, placing your right foot on the left thigh. If you have a knee injury or feel like your hip is tighter, grab a block or a bolster or a large pillow and place it underneath your knee. And we'll stay here for a couple breaths, flexing your foot a little bit, again, to protect the knee. Let your upper body rise up, but don't extend your spine. Keep the belly drawn deeply in, and we'll hold it for a couple breaths. 2, 3, calmly tuning into the inner body. 4, and 5. Hold the right knee and the left foot. Ask yourself if you can go deeper. If you don't get a green light from your body, if you're feeling any tweak or tinge in your knee, I want you to stop here. But if possible, hold the right foot and the right knee into the body and cradle it in. So this is the seated pigeon, where you're holding that thigh bone all the way into the body. And if you watch my lower back, you'll see that the lower back is rounded. So allow the lower back to tilt under, but not dumping weight down. So you still keep a sense of liftedness. And we'll hold this for 5 breaths. 1, 2. So this is like giving your pigeon a hug. So the pigeon is sitting there and you're just giving that pigeon a hug, like you're a good little pigeon and I love you. And that's what you have to talk to the body. You can't rush the process of opening. It will open in its own time. Keep the belly drawn in. 4 and 5. And now we're going to rock that pigeon back and forth. Nice and easy, back and forth. back and forth. And we're just moving the knee back and forward. And you should feel some movements, almost like a joystick, happening deep into the inner body, into the inner space of the pelvis. And we'll do that one more time and back to the center. Reach both of your hands underneath, taking hold of your foot, gently bringing the foot to your face. And again, we'll hold that for a couple breaths. 1. So this is not completely relaxed, but instead the low belly is really sucking in. 2, 3, 4, bringing your foot to the side and maybe the foot to the ear. 2, but don't try. So don't bring your head to your foot. Instead, bring your foot towards the head. 3, 4, and 5. Back to the center. Hold the knee. Place it down. You'll notice your upper back muscles can start to feel like they're on fire. Let it be. Never any pain in the knee, but you could feel some deep muscles around the hip really releasing and opening. Okay, so come on back up, crossing your feet, hands underneath you, and let's gently step back to the plank pose. Plank down to chaturanga. Inhale, come forward to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Let's try the other side, bringing your legs all the way through to seated. We're going to try that pigeon, the seated one on the left side. Hold underneath the left knee, drop it a little to the side, take the foot, place the left foot just above the right knee. And if you notice your hip is a little tighter, grab a bolster or a block and place that underneath your left knee, flexing the foot, and let your upper torso extend away from the pelvis, keeping the belly drawn in, but avoid arching the spine and instead just keep yourself oriented along the center line. We'll pause here. 1. Keeping the belly drawn in. 2, cultivating an attitude of patience and tolerance. Remember, it's not about beating your body into submission, but really making friends with your body along the way. 3, 4, and 5. Check in. If you get a green light from your body, we're going to hug that pigeon into the body. Hold your foot in your knee, bringing it up. There's a moment when you bring up the knee that you'll feel that you have to slide a little under. Let yourself lean a little back so you can pivot to the back of your sitting bones. Then wrap your arms around that shin bone and hug it into the body and lift the chest up to the shin bone. And we'll hold that in using your right leg for stability. 1. 2, you could close your eyes and drop down into the inner body to the space around the left hip. 3, 4, and 5. And if you're ready from here, we'll just start rocking the pigeon back and forth. So you're hugging your pigeon, your new little bird friend that happens to live in your hips. Who knew that we had pigeons in the hips? They're flying around in there, and now we're learning to make friends with them. So we're making friends with the pigeon, friends with the pigeon, friends with the pigeon. One more time, out to the side, back in. And draw the belly in so you're stabilizing, supporting the spine from the inside. Reach your hands under, holding on, and then slowly bringing the foot to your head and check in. So you should feel the abs really turning on. And if you check in and you have a little bit of a green light, you drop the shoulder forward, keeping the knee pointed to the side. Avoid the knee back, knee to the side. Foot reaches to your ear. A little bit like you're talking on the phone before the age of Bluetooth. And we'll hold it here for a couple breaths. 2, 3, doing good. 4, and 5. Back to the center. Hug it in for a moment. Place it down. Come on back up. Straightening out the leg. I always like to straighten out the leg and just return to Dandasana for a moment. Let blood and circulation go back through the knees. Talk to the hips. Make sure all is good. Cross your feet. Taking the hands forward and easy. Let's step it back to plank. Plank. Exhale down to chaturanga. Inhale, come forward to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Look forward, step, step, and then let's sit down. Now we're going to do the sleeping pigeon. So this is obviously a lying down pigeon. It should be relatively relaxed, and depending on how our pigeon feels, we may go for that posture that can be a little scary, leg behind the head. But don't get scared. Don't turn it off now. Keep watching. You never know what's going to happen. Slowly rolling the spine down, stretch your legs forward. Now, to move into the sleeping pigeon, we need to access that same external rotation of the hip joint while keeping a roundedness in the back. So bend your knees, allowing the lower belly to be drawn in. Knees together for a moment to just rest the spine. Pause for a moment and just forgive yourself. No matter if the leg goes behind your head or not, you're a good person. All is good. Now, dropping the right knee to the side, place the right foot, let it rest on the left thigh, And then we'll activate a little bit deep inside the hip joint. So drop the knee out and give it a little pressure. So you're just really orienting your thigh bone. You're not squeezing the knee, but you're just orienting your thigh bone, feeling like your greater trochanter, that bony landmark on the outer edge of your right thigh, is dropping back and around. We'll hold that for a couple breaths. Hold it for a couple breaths, and then calmly let it come back. Point your left toes, and then slowly bring your left knee into your chest, and you can choose to hold underneath your knee, or you can hold on to your right knee. And we'll hold that for a couple breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now slowly wrap your arms around your pigeon just like you did before, and then straighten out the left leg. So you really keep that movement deep in the right hip joint. 1, 2, 3, 4. Talk to your leg, talk to the hip, all is good. Don't rush, don't force, accept wherever you got to for today, and then gently bend your left knee. Now, holding onto your foot, drop the knee to the side, and slowly, calmly, rounding your back, lift your head up to your foot. And we'll hold that for a couple breaths. 2, 3, 4. Dropping your foot to your ear, talk to yourself and feel if this is enough, or if you've gone too far already, you may want to back off, but then slowly lifting your head up and around. Let's just try it out. Hold on to your foot with your left hand, and then just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle yourself around. And we'll just hang out here for a couple breaths, hands in prayer. 1, 2, using your left leg for stability. 3, 4. If you want to, you could bend your left knee into your chest, straightening your leg, reaching your hands around. 4. Placing them in prayer if you don't need to hold on too much. And 5. Bend your knee, slowly reach it down, take your hand, left hand to the right foot, slowly come on around. Talk to your leg for a moment. You're a good little leg. However far you got, you're good. Okay, put that foot down. Slowly release, constructive rest position for a moment, and let it go. All right, left side, rest that foot, left foot on the right thigh, and then just kind of rock the knee for a moment, and then actively push the knee down and away while you stabilize the pelvis, facilitating that external rotation. Hold it there for a moment, and slowly bring it back, drawing your right knee into your chest. Wrap your hands around, and you can choose to hold onto your left knee, or if possible, both hands rest under the right knee, and we'll hold that for 5 breaths. 1, keep it a little active as you suck the belly in. Avoid just flattening out through the pelvic bowl, and instead keep it really, really sucked in as though you maintain a sense of emptiness, spaciousness, calmness deep in the center of the pelvis. It might help you to close your eyes and just tune into the inner body for a moment. Drop your awareness down into the emptiness of the pelvis. Wrapping your hands around your left leg, slowly extend the right leg. We'll hold it here for a couple more breaths. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slowly and calmly bring your foot up so that the foot aligns with your head, and then draw the belly in, bringing your head up to your foot. Only if your foot touches your head do you want to consider going on. Then you could bring your foot to the left ear, and we'll hold it here for a couple breaths and just tune in to that empty space. If possible, take the right hand up, holding on to the left foot, and just glide it around. Now there's a moment where you feel your calf muscle is a little stuck. Don't force, just talk to the body and glide your body around, slowly reaching the head back. You can bend your right knee to lift the pelvis a little bit higher, and then slowly bringing your leg up, holding yourself in for a moment, maybe the hands in prayer. 1, 2, keep the belly drawn in, pointing the left toes. 3, sometimes it helps to close the eyes and tune in. 4, and 5. Slowly, calmly, put your foot down, see if your leg stays, and slowly pick it on around, slowly bringing the leg back, settling it down. All right, talk to your leg for a moment, your good little leg, good little hip. Bend your knee, constructive rest position for a moment. Draw your knees into your chest. Come on back up. Take the hands forward, come onto your hands and knees for a moment, pause, and we'll just release the back. So extend your back for a moment, round your back. One more time, nice and extend, let it release. Round your back all the way to plank. Plank, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Look forward. Step your right foot, your left foot forward, and slowly sink the hips, stretching the legs all the way forward. So this is the journey of bringing your legs into possibly going behind your head. This is a long journey and one that really shouldn't be rushed. And this little practice will give you an entry really into the inner body. It's a journey that takes you down into building your awareness of the hip joints, but more importantly, making peace with the body, to understand that your body shouldn't be beaten into submission. You can't get more flexible if you wage a war between you and your body. Instead, you just have to make friends with the body and let it open according to its own pace. One day, if you really practice consistently, your legs will go behind your head. But the real benefit of that is that you learn how to be a nice person. Truly, the journey of yoga is more about learning to be a nice person. And then there's the added benefit that, hey, maybe your leg is behind your head. No problem. Could be a little fun. But if your leg is behind your head and you didn't learn how to be a nice person, well, then the journey of yoga is not working. So remember that on days that you feel frustrated. If you feel that your body's the wrong shape or size, pause for a moment, let it go, learn how to be a nice person, and cultivate an attitude of patience and tolerance for your hips, for your body, and ultimately for your whole world. Bring your hands together and inhale. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide into the inner tradition of yoga. Namaste.